What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Spill the Tequila here on the John Rocha channel. I am John Rocha here live on the channel here at just a few minutes past 5. Sorry, y'all, I'm a little bit late starting the show because I was at the doctor's earlier. And now, wait, am I on my mic? Let me know I'm on my mic because I set this all up. Here we go. There we go. Now I'm on my mic. I was at the doctor's until about 4:30, and on my way ride home is when I got the text from Winston saying that he had technical and internet issues, so he will not be able to do the show tonight. So I'm flying solo here on the Spill the Tequila show. I don't even have the right graphic for a solo show. I realized I don't have a solo graphic for me. The only graphic that I have that's solo is something that my graphic designer sent me before, but like that doesn't work unless I dip down into the frame to talk about stuff. So hopefully he's watching, and hopefully he'll send me a makeshift overlay there that I can use here for this particular situation when if it pops up again in the future. But thank you all so much for joining me here live. As I said, I apologize that Winston A. Marshall can't make it, but he's got issues going on with his internet. Apparently a tech guy is there now trying to solve it, so hopefully he gets that squared away for himself for his own content coming up this week, as well as it's a big old week for Mandalorian and Grogu coming out this week. And certainly people, I've already put up my out of theater reaction, and there are other people who put up their out of theater reactions as well, so you've seen those already, and the reviews dropped today. We'll talk about some of those reviews, and then we'll also talk about some of the first reactions to Masters of the Universe, which the premiere was last night. So we got some of the critics, my fellow critics here, coming in with their 2 cents on the movie. We've also got stuff to cover here with the Lanterns trailer, the new teaser trailer that dropped just yesterday. I did my reaction for that. That's up on the channel as well. If you guys want to watch it or haven't watched it, it is up on the channel as well. So we'll break down that trailer using comic book movies breakdown and go step by step through that. Also, some information coming in for Sebastian Stan, the comments he made at Con about what's going on in our country, what's going on in our world. So we'll touch on that. You know, this is Spill the Tequila, so we're going to talk about all that shit. We did have a conversation. We were going to have a conversation. Winston and I were going to cover. We were going to cover 3 sports things. We were going to cover the Ronda Rousey Gina Carano fight. We were going to cover the NCAA and no, not the NCAA. The oh my God, what am I saying? Anyway, the NAACP coming out and going after the NCAA. So that's a lot of anagrams in my mind there. And telling young black men and parents, black parents, to not send their kids to certain colleges that are in states that are advocating for the removal of the Voting Rights Act. And I think that's an interesting power move in this day and age. So we're going to look at all that. So all of that is coming up here on the show. Plus whatever pops up while I'm on the show as well. We'll be talking about anything you guys want to talk about as well. The Streamlabs and Superchats are open. So please send in your love, your questions, your thoughts, and comments as we go along in the show. So, you know, you guys are amazing. I appreciate you hanging out with me, even though it's not the 2-man show that we were going to do originally, but we will be coming with some of that in a little bit later. But I do want to make an announcement that I will be launching a new show here on the channel. It will be very much a solo show. It's something that I've done before in the past, like the Outlaw Nation show. I have tried to do The Truth, although some people pushed back on that title for the show. So it made me rethink kind of the approach to that show. So I just went ahead and went, you know what? Let's make it as simple as possible. I work with my graphic designer, is an amazing kid, is just so smart about all the look and the feel of stuff here on the channel. And it's just going to be simply called The Rocha Show. That's what it's going to be called there. You see the big, bold power move approach to it, the big font there. It is going to be The Rocha Show. I will essentially be going live throughout or doing like pre-taped episodes of this as well. And it will be as many times as I can on the channel. And I will be doing podcast-only episodes as well. They'll be only available through the podcast stream. And that's something I'm trying to do to get people to sign up more to subscribe to the Outlaw Nation Podcast Network, to shoot up the numbers so we can get sponsors on a little more, some more sponsors on it. We've had some sponsors on. We'd like to get more sponsors on my podcast there. And I think we're going to jump over to a new hosting platform as well. I'm looking at Red Circle because Red Circle hosts the Cinephiles. They're very kind of reached out to a couple of the people there. Normally you have to pay to be a part of Red Circle, but because my podcast that I do there, the Cinephiles, has done so well on Red Circle, they've been very gracious to say that they'll waive all the fees and bring all my stuff over. So it may be possible that we are going to leave Spreaker and head on over to Red Circle, and maybe there's going to be a bit more stuff for us to do. I think that'll be the Geek Buddies as well. Look, nothing will change for you guys wherever you download podcasts, whether Geek Buddies, Hot Mic, or the Outlaw Nation Podcast Network. All that's going to stay the same. But I think Red Circle is going to give us the opportunity to do ads and do reads and do more things like that, and hopefully raise the profile of the John Rocha Podcast Network and go forward from there. So that's the goal as we're looking at everything. You know, you can't sit still in this business. You can't just do the same thing over and over again. And honestly, I've gotten a bit bored with some of the stuff I've been doing, and so I'm trying to shake stuff up. I'm trying to add some more excitement, some more challenges to what I'm doing. I'm also doing more video essays. So I've written 4 scripts so far that I will be recording in the near future. Probably all week I'll record all 4 of them and then put them out as soon as possible. My Mandalorian and Grogu review, which I wrote, is going to be out tomorrow morning. So I know everybody else put theirs out today, but I hate to get caught in the glut of everyone else. So sometimes I like to do it the day after, a couple of days after, so I'm not really caught up with them because I don't expect too many views on the reviews. The reviews are more to satisfy my requirements as a critic in the critics organizations, and also, of course, to give you guys my points of views on stuff for those who want to watch my reviews. But that's kind of how I approach that kind of thing. So that's so far the update on everything going on here on the channel. So just wanted to give you guys a little heads up as we go into things here as well. Doesn't mean the truth is dead. The truth might just be a Sunday show, but the Rocha show will be the other shows throughout the week where either I go live or I pre-tape. And it might be a 10-minute show. It might be a 2-hour show. I just never know what I'm in the mood to do, what I'm in the mood to try. So that's going to be the approach there as I go forward here on the channel. All right, well, let's get into the first things that we should talk. We got to just dive into it. Let's dive into the Lanterns trailer. This was a pretty amazing trailer that dropped yesterday. A lot of people are talking about it. I got a nice, healthy number of views on my trailer reaction for it yesterday. So much was profiled and showcased in the trailer. We got to see our boy Kyle there wearing the Green Lantern outfit with a little muted with the colors, but we could still see that it was green and all that, but certainly weathered, has been worn for quite a few decades, it seems like. And the overall energy of the trailer I thought was really interesting. So the character work and the conversations going on between him as Hal Jordan and Aaron Pierre as John Stewart, I thought that was really fascinating. We got to see some green stuff, all the people who were upset about bright green stuff not being seen in the trailer. Well, look at that. The bright green stuff is there, and there were quite a few moments of that. There's also a moment where he used it as a force field there at the diner to protect himself as well. Even turned it into a dollar bill so that he could give it to the jukebox. There was that as well. We also saw this man. We got to see our boy there, Guy Gardner, be a part of this thing here and see where we were going with that. Just one shot. It looks like Aaron Pierre is either in the prison or it's Guy Gardner in the prison. I'm assuming it's Aaron Pierre because he hasn't quite embraced the ring. He'd be able to get himself out of the prison if he could. We also saw more usage of the ring, the bright green, Kyle Chandler doing more with that, which was really interesting as well. And the big shocker, well, to those of you who maybe didn't watch that Hot Mic episode, Laura Linney will now be part of the Lanterns show for season 1. I don't know how long she's going to be in the show, but it's interesting that she's in it. A lot of people already think she's playing Carol Ferris, so it's an interesting situation when you look at all the stuff we got in this trailer. And the overall reception has been extremely positive. Like that I've seen online, a lot of people, even the people who were skeptics coming out of the first trailer, were a lot more impressed with the second trailer and what that offered to us and what that showed us. So that's what you want, right? And sometimes you have to understand, I know in our day and age, it's like everything that comes out must be perfect and great the moment it comes out. But there are still strategies that are involved with marketing and promotion. There are still rollouts that are involved with marketing and promotion. And so you kind of have to maybe take a step back when something doesn't work 100%, be like, oh, I wasn't sure, but let's see what the second trailer, the third trailer, the final trailer shows us. Let me see what the TV spots have got. So, you got to be you got to create a little bit of grace to see what's going to happen and what their philosophy is in terms of rolling out and promoting things. And I think they dropped that first trailer to show you that this is going to be a much more grounded, a darker element to this. There'll be a darker element to the show. The true detective energy that they had already said was going to be part of the show was there in that first trailer. And I, for one, came out of that first trailer very much excited for it. I mean, I trust Chris Mundy. I trust Damon Lindelof. So I was on board. But I know a lot of people weren't. And a lot of people made a huge deal about the CGI of Kyle flying off. A lot of people made a huge deal about there not being enough green in the trailer. And it looks like they listened to what the fans were saying, tried to give them what the fans wanted here in the second trailer, but also still made it really clear that this is a grounded Green Lantern story. Yes, we see Hal. It looks like Hal out there above the earth, flying there above the clouds. We saw this image here, which clearly shows something attacking from the sky and Hal trying to stop it from attacking the earth. We saw those elements there in the trailer, but we also saw the relationships here between Kyle and Aaron Pierre, between Hal and Jon Stewart. And Jon Stewart basically intimating that you got handed this ring. You didn't earn this ring. You should have worked harder for this ring. So it's interesting. There's almost elements of privilege in that. I'm not trying to piss people off, but certainly there's this idea of a black man telling a white man, you got handed this ring where I'm going to have to work for it. And Hal Jordan saying, over my dead body, you're going to get this ring. So I wonder how much of their interactions is going to have like the tinge of privilege or tinge of working hard for it, the blue collar aspect of it all. But of course, coursing through the trailer was also this refrain of you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid. You can't be afraid. Be fearless. Grab the ring. Grab your destiny. Go for what you want. And so that's pulsating throughout the trailer as well, as we see the images of Jon Stewart jumping over a car, Jon Stewart doing all these things that he's doing, having interactions with Hal and what I think is interactions there with Guy. So there is like both of these guys are on two separate journeys and on a journey together. And those are going to intersect, like as the old basketball term, a three-man weave. It's like a three-man weave throughout this entire first season, which I think is going to be very interesting when it all goes down. So Spider says he looks constipated. Listen, I don't know how I would look if I flew off. Does it take a lot of effort? Are you punching up your butt cheeks? Like, maybe you feel constipated when you take off. That's part of the things. I don't know. We will see. All right, but let's take a look at what Comic Movie has in breaking down this trailer. I want to go through this with you all to see. Let me see here. How much can I get a little bigger? I always forget how this works. There we go. All right, so let's take down my banner. All right, so let's go through this and then let's make it big. Can we make it bigger here? Yeah, let's do that. That's a lot better. All right, let's make this a little bit bigger here, and as we go through it. All right, Lanterns Trailer 2 breakdown. Everything we learned on this bold new take. Latest trailer Lanterns give us a better look at HBO's upcoming Lanterns. Some creative decisions are already dividing opinions, but this sneak peek offers a much clearer idea of what to expect from Hal Jordan's team up with Jon Stewart. In this feature, we take a closer look at several key moments from Lantern's latest trailer and attempt to figure out exactly where this story is headed. You can read our full breakdown by clicking next view list buttons below. There you go. Sinestro in prison. So we've been kept in the dark about plans for Sinestro, but we definitely didn't expect him to be in some sort of space prison. As you see there, originally Hal Jordan's mentor in the comics, he used his Green Lantern core ring to rule over his homeworld of Korugar with an iron fist. Hal exposed Sinestro, who later created the Yellow Lantern ring to counter the Green Lantern Corps by utilizing fear. In Lanterns, it seems we can expect to find Sinestro somewhere being deposed as Korugar's ruler and creating the Sinestro Corps, with the series seemingly set to jump back and forth between 2016 and 2026, and even further back than that, based on shots of Jon Stewart's childhood. There's a chance we could see multiple versions of Sinestro However, there being multiple core across the emotional spectrum is almost certainly a story for another day. So yeah, is that Sinestro from behind there? You see the kind of reddish skin there on his neck. So yes, that looks like Sinestro in prison. What'll be the conversations between him and Hal Jordan? That'll be curious to see for sure. I mean, you would not be faulted for thinking of the world within worlds. What we saw in Peacemaker, these portals, those kinds of things. I wonder if the portals are related, like we saw in Peacemaker, and also the pocket universes that we saw in Superman. So will there be an element of that goes on to create this situation here in this prison and what have you? The Green Lantern constructs here as well. You see the ring, you see the dollar bill, as I was talking about earlier, that was being created there in the bar. Lantern's teaser was criticized for the lack of green and noticeable absence of Green Lantern constructs. That changes here. While there are no giant fists or machine guns, thank God for that, what is shown in this latest preview feels like a good start, from Hal creating counterfeit cash to a massive shield, which I already showed you guys, that protects the people from mysterious red lasers. The trailer proves that we'll get at least some epic Green Lantern action in an otherwise grounded tale. Superman gave us a taste of what a Green Lantern can do, and we bet on this series expanding on that before Man of Tomorrow shows what John is really capable of. Even so, fans heading into Lanterns expecting a CG heavy space opera. Sorry, let me say that again. Even so, fans heading into Lanterns expecting a CG heavy space opera will need to get their expectations in check. I agree. Hal Jordan, veteran hero, as exciting as it is that Lanterns will serve as Jon Stewart's origin story, it's hard not to feel disappointed that we're picking up with Hal near the end of his time as a superhero. News reports look set to explore his past as a superhero, but we lost out on decades of adventures. Hal's suit, no longer created by his Green Lantern ring, is weathered and aged by the time we catch up with him, as I showed you guys already. And he's clearly unhappy that the Guardians of the Universe have chosen John to serve in the Corps rather than the ring choosing him. This is an interesting element, I think, to consider this whole situation, because when Hal says "over my dead body," is that a motivating thing to make Jon Stewart work harder to take the ring from him? Or is this a situation where Hal is reluctantly training Jon Stewart and is trying to mess up his training as much as possible to prove that John isn't ready and to hold on to the ring a little bit longer? Now, some of you may be like, well, that's not what a hero would do. It's not what a hero would do. Hal Jordan can be a bit of a prick. So it's not always going to be straightforward. And I think already from those two trailers, you can tell that Kyle Chandler is imbuing his Hal Jordan with a bit more of the cantankerous, cranky, angry, moody older guy. And that's going to be an element of this. So how much of that is John having to win him over? How much of that is Hal Jordan having to get past his own ego? And what are the reasons for why the Guardians of Oa are making Hal Jordan do this? And what is Hal Jordan's reaction going to be when this finally comes to pass and John embraces the ring? A lot of people think that because he said "over my dead body," it's essentially foreshadowing that Hal Jordan is going to die in this series. Possibly. There's also the possibility that Hal Jordan transitions into something else. Hal Jordan could become a Spectre. He could become any number of things in the comics. If you've read the comics, you know that Hal Jordan becomes any number of things in the comics all the time. And he comes back. He's been killed and brought back to life. Like, there's all kinds of stuff with Hal Jordan. So how much of this is going to be a part of his journey in the series? It's going to be interesting to see. While many fans have wondered if Lanterns is meant to be a passing of the torch, what if Hal is just training John ahead of both of them protecting Sector 2814? It's a nice thought, though. We're not sure where that leaves Guy Gardner, who also appears briefly in the trailer. So we'll see on that one. Who are the villains? That's the next question here. The Lanterns trailer fails to establish who the show's villains are, meaning it's hard to understand why Hal would investigate whatever is happening in this small American town. Now, let's take a look at that situation here as well, with this town, because he is a space cop, but it still feels like a low stakes investigation for a Green Lantern. With that in mind, our theory is that there is some sort of cosmic connection to whatever's happening here, whether it's Parallax infecting a small town, a small-scale invasion, alien invasion, or the Center's worshippers causing chaos. There must be more to this series than meets the eye. The strange device that is held to John's head and the aforementioned lasers coming from the sky, which I showed you guys already, point to Lanterns featuring an otherworldly threat. Those are the only overtly obvious hints we get for now. So fingers crossed the next trailer cleans things up. And I'll tell you this, like I said, This is a rollout plan. All right. Both of the trailers that we've gotten are teaser trailers. So they're not going to show you the full story. You know, a teaser rarely shows you the full story, the full villains, sets the whole thing up. A teaser trailer is just meant to tease you, to give you the vibe and the energy and some of the things that are going to happen. To me, it's akin to a reaction video versus a review. My out of theater reaction videos are 2 minutes giving you a feeling of the vibe of the movie, whether it works or not. The review gives you the specificity of why it works or doesn't work. And that's kind of the difference, I think, between a full trailer and a teaser trailer. And I think we're not finding out yet who the villains are. And to be honest with you, I think it's good that they're keeping them kind of shadowy and mysterious. We should have a little more mystery in our entertainment as well to keep us like kind of on the hook. The last part of what comic book movie has is, are you afraid? Much is said about being afraid in the closing moments of the Lanterns trailer, but a Green Lantern ring is about willpower, not overcoming fear. Right. However, to circle back to our first point, this may be where the corrupting influence of Parallax comes in. Residing within the Yellow Lantern central power battery, Parallax is the living embodiment of fear. That's a great point. Are you afraid? Are you afraid? It once inhabited Hal, right, corrupting him and sending the hero down a villainous route. Could this series be heading down a similar direction, with John forced to step up and take Hal down before he can bring in death and destruction to the Earth? His possession may even lead to Parallax being caged, and Sinestro later using that power, to power his fear-based core. This could be controversial. Multiple humans have served as Lanterns at the same time, but it does seem a likely direction based on what we know and Hal's age. So it's very possible to see all of that in this situation as well. Let's move on to the trailer, because I want to hit a couple of things on the trailer. And I hope I don't get any kind of, issues with this trailer. I'm not going to play it, but I'm not going to play the whole trailer or play the sound, but I do want to show, I'm going to stay in this box. I want to show what goes on here. So let's take a look. Where am I? Okay, so let's go through the trailer real quick, because I want to hit a couple spots. Let's see here. So yeah, we get the ring, we get these lasers coming down, we get him using, as we said already. Now we see him grabbing the ring and just looking at it, and Hal's giving him shit, and here he is using it to create the dollar bill, as we joked about, and John Stewart gives him shit for it. And then we get this stuff entering. Now he's going into this diner. We see the ring. It's a broken down. Now who's dead? Are people dead on the ground there? What's down there on the ground? I don't know. It looks like the diner's been maybe even shot up, maybe by the guys we're going to see but then here, Hal steps out, or somebody steps out. Hal puts the force field on and he gets shot. So clearly the trailer has been shot up, maybe by this gang that we saw. But look, that's a sniper rifle. If you look at that, that is a sniper rifle. That is not just a regular rifle. So that's interesting as well. Or maybe it's a machine gun. I'm not sure. But it is not your typical rifle you would see from a typical villain, or a criminal rather, who might be. I don't want to show. Okay, so we see John. So we see the flashbacks of John. There's a young man. Is he seeing Hal Jordan in this video? Is he seeing Hal Jordan on the TV? What is he seeing? We have the back and forth between them, and that's where Hal says, "Over my dead body." He doesn't look too happy about it, and I guess this is the what someone said there. It looks like he's he's constipated. Then we see him in the air, right? We see John making a joke about things. Then we go in with Kelly McDonald, sheriff. There's Hal landing there, and they go into this ranch with the M logo on it. What does the M stand for? It's going to be interesting to see. Then Garrett Dillahunt is there. Some of you remember him from No Country for Old Men. He also did, what's the TV series with Amanda Plummer? I forget. It was on Fox. It was really funny. But yeah, he's a really good actor. And remember him in Looper. He's damn good in Looper as well. But yeah, clearly this is a situation where you've got these country boys, and they are manning a ranch, this old school Western type of thing. And you see the sheriff there with the lone gunman kind of going there to confront these dudes on the horses. So you see John walking through this devastation. What is this devastation? Guns are being pointed at him. If you notice, it looks like a bunch of white guys wearing the gear and whatever. So are we going to explore a little bit of white supremacy here? Is this part of the evil that is going on, that is being influenced here? I don't know. But if you look at it, you could make that case. I'm not saying that is the thing, but I'm saying you can make the case that that's a possibility. We see him now as a young man. So he is watching Hal a younger Hal possibly talking about being a hero, talking about things. Then we get the cosmic stuff out there in space. Then we see Hal there in the uniform talking to Sinestro. So is Sinestro convincing him? Is Sinestro working his ego down? Then we see the flashbacks to Jon Stewart being a military soldier. We see the Guy Gardner stuff. We see Kelly MacDonald reacting to it. This is an interesting shot, isn't it? Like, look at this shot. That is yellow. That's the sun. What does this mean? Where are they? What is this all about? Is this a parallax vision? Where are they at in all of this? This looks almost space like they're on a planet almost, which is really interesting as well. So curious to see where that leads. We got Kyle here, of course, great shot. Seeing the jets, because I mean, Kyle was a former pilot. He was a former jet fighter pilot. So that's an element of this. We see the military aspect of it also. Is this him dying? Is this Hal Jordan dying? Is that the sheriff? Is that Kelly MacDonald from behind? Questions to be asked, because he would get a military funeral if Hal Jordan is dead, having served as a Navy fighter pilot. Then we see John getting confronted by these guys. Again, a lot of white hands. So is this a white supremacist situation? Then we see this. No, I don't. Is that yellow? Or that to me looks orange, not yellow. So I'm curious to see if this is a parallax situation or not. Then we see the explosion here, and someone's hair whipping around. John running through, doing this whole, like I'm going to play this, doing this whole jump, which is pretty interesting. Then he's got his sniper rifle, clearly former military. Maybe a scene from Shooter, if you remember that Mark Wahlberg film. Was he a sniper in the military as well as being a special forces guy? It'll be interesting to see. We see him there, and he's talking to possibly Carol. It's very possible that Laura Linney is playing Carol. So is this after Hal has died? Is he talking to Carol about taking on his mantle, about what to do next, about what she would want him, what he would look, she might be wearing a black dress. Maybe this is after the funeral. So it's very possible that that's an element of this as well. Then we see John with the ring. So clearly he does get the ring at some point during the season, and that's the end of the trailer. So there's a lot there to consider and think about as you look at that situation. Sorry. So interesting stuff to look at. So I'm doing the show live and typing. Can we remove the box and just have a solo graphic at the bottom and the background? Yeah, just talking to my guy there. So interesting stuff when you look at it. So I thought this was interesting when you look at all of this stuff. And then Hal at his dad's funeral. Yeah, very possible. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. It says the pillowcases over the faces are CGI'd out, I think. Oh, yeah, very possible. Very possible. So we will see. The other element of this, and I didn't bring this up while we were doing the breakdown, is that the news came out today that someone else will be taking over as executive producer for season 2. And that is, let's see, where's the gentleman's name? Jeff Snyder. Snyder reported this, that Halt and Catch Fire co-creator Christopher Cantwell has joined the production for season 2 of Lanterns as a new writer and executive producer ahead of the potential renewal. So it's not if this goes to a season 2, which they seem to feel like it has the possibility of doing. If you're already lining up another executive producer and another writer to take over, Damon Lindelof and Tom King are expected to remain on board, but Snyder believes, quote, HBO took the opportunity to bring in an experienced TV veteran, and Cantwell was the perfect fit, as it just so happens that he's a prolific comic book writer. Cantwell has worked on such titles such as Iron Man, Captain America, Doctor Doom, Gold Goblin, The Mask, and Star Wars Obi-Wan. It says Snyder, Cantwell is coming aboard now because the writer's room for Lanterns will soon be reconvening despite the lack of official renewal. TV networks often want to have scripts ready so they can start production faster if a show is picked up for a second season, which again feels somewhat inevitable here, the pending Paramount merger notwithstanding. But another part of me is like, why do you make this change? You know what I'm saying? Why do you make this change if you have a team that you like and a team that you think has produced a season 1 that will have enough eyes on it and attention on it to get to a season 2? Do they feel that maybe some of people's reactions to season 1 internally at DC, at Warner Brothers, are not as positive as they were hoping. Do they think the series is good enough to get views and to keep people watching, but not great? And they think there's a possibility for greatness in a season 2. So they bring in, as Jeff pointed out, a seasoned TV veteran to take over here to run season 2. Now, I like Halt and Catch Fire. I think it's one of the best, least talked about shows of the last few years. I think it went 4 or 5 seasons. I watched all of them. Some great performances throughout in that with Lee Pace and is it Cameron McIntosh? Is that her name? And Carrie Bechet and Scoot McNeary. Like, it was a really good show. I recently got AMC Plus for $30 for the year. If you guys have it, you guys should look up that special, $29 for the year. I think it's 29 or 39. There's so much content on AMC Plus that has been culled together from other places like Shudder, Sundance Now. So you get a lot of content. Halt and Catch Fire is on that streaming service. So if you can afford $30 to get it for the year, I think it's $29 for the year or $39 for the year, I would recommend it because there's a lot that goes through AMC Plus. Gangs of London, Dark Winds. There's a lot of horror movies through Shudder. So it is well worth your money if you can afford it to get it for the year. Just make sure you cancel it before the year comes up so you don't pay the full price. But Halt and Catch Fire is on there. And if you guys don't know what that show is, it basically chronicles the evolution of the computer world from the beginning in the 1970s all the way through to modern day or almost modern day. And it goes through those seasons doing leaps in time as the technology advances. And there's a lot of great character work done by all the actors in the show. There's a lot of great relationship stuff that is navigated through on the show. There's not a lot of action or cosmic set pieces. So I imagine they want to have a showrunner who's got an executive producer, rather, who's got a lot of experience working with relationship stuff and character building. And they'll kind of weave in any of the cosmic stuff that they have to do for a season 2. So for me, although it makes me a little nervous for season 1 that they're replacing the executive producer this quickly with Chris Monday, it does give me hope that season 2 could possibly be even better than season 1, which has happened on a lot of shows. People would argue that Mandalorian season 2 is better than Mandalorian season 1. Seinfeld season 2 is better than Seinfeld season 1. I think Next Generation gets better in season 2, and for the first season is not that strong. So things happen. You find your feet, you find your rhythm. Parks and Recreation is another great example of that. So maybe they feel they've got something with real potential here, and that season 1 is good enough, just not great. And they think season 2 could bring out the greatness inherent in this situation. So we will see. We will see. Okay, well, that's all the stuff for Lanterns. Are there anything you guys want to ask about the Lanterns situation? I want to answer your questions. The Streamlabs and the Super Chats are open. I think I pinned it in the chat, didn't I? I hope I pinned it in the chat. I'm not even. I should pull this up here real quick. Did I pin it in the chat? Oh, I thought yes, I did. Didn't I? To send a question? Yes, it's pinned. Okay, just wanted to make sure here before I do anything else. So, all right. So that's the situation there. So we will see what ends up happening with the with Lanterns. We're not that far away. I think it's August, right? August 16th or August 17th is when it debuts. I hope I'll be getting the screeners at the beginning of August. We will see. And just to let you all know, I got the screeners for Spider-Man Noir. So I'm going to spend some time watching those tomorrow. I'm not allowed to reveal the title names. I'm not allowed to reveal the episode lengths. But I will say they're not all half-an-hour episodes. So it's a chunk. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing if this works. I know some first reactions have already come out from people. But I'm going to start the process of watching. Over the next 2 days, I'm going to watch all the episodes because I think Friday we're allowed to put out a review or a social media. Oh, no, I think it's a review on Friday for Spider-Man Noir. So hopefully that'll be a good experience. And I've heard from a couple of people that they've enjoyed it. So who've seen it already. So we will see. But yes, this debuts on August 17th. Lanterns does on HBO Max. So put that in your calendars as well. All right, where shall we move off to next? Or you know what? Let me answer some questions, and then we'll get into some other subjects here as we go along. Thank you, Railroad Tie, for the donate, for a very kind super chat. WV Grant says MNG reviews started releasing and Star Wars fans are triggered. They can't be civil when fun is used to describe the movie. Apparently, that's a code for bad. Yeah, we're going to get to that in a second here, WV Grad. I will talk about that on the show as well. I think it's hilarious how so many people have an issue with the word fun about a movie. God forbid a movie is fun. And what's ironic is a lot of these people would describe that a majority of the movies that they own are fun and not necessarily great. So is there a bit of hypocrisy going on? Possibly. But yeah, I think it's a little bit hilarious that there's so many people who are ready, who want to, like, they're cheering for Star Wars to fail. Because if you say a Star Wars film is fun, to them it's like, oh, you don't want to admit that it's bad. You don't want to say that it's bad. No, I had fun. I just had fun with the movie. Yeah, it's not that great, but it's good and it's fun. What's the problem? So I think people have this expectation, like, if it's a movie that's on the big screen that's Star Wars, it should be epic and amazing and the greatest thing you ever make. And it's like, come on, man, let's be real. Mr. Penguin 888 says, hey, Rocha, I hope you're doing good. I'm not. I'm not sure if you saw this article today by THR about the buzz around the post of the influencers with Pedro Pascal and Disney, labeling them as random guests. Labeling them as random guests. Yeah, actually, why don't I add that to the list of things we can talk about today? Because I think you're right. That I did see that, and I meant to put that on my rundown for myself. So here we go. Yep. All right. So right. Okay. We'll address that in just a little bit. Thank you, Mr. Penguin 88. We'll talk about that on the show. WV says, I want to file a lawsuit against Trump's settlement. I believe I have standing because I refuse to let my tax dollars go to January 6th traders. Total bullshit. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that. The $1.8 billion, as one of the senators called it, slush fund for people from January 6th to apply for aid and assistance because of treatment by the government, because somehow they were unfairly vilified when they attacked the Capitol, which is utter nonsense. And we even saw J.D. Vance today come out and say, like, hey, January 6ers, has there anybody been more tortured than the January 6ers? Like, trying to create sympathy for them. And this is what they do. This is what MAGA does. This is what some of the people on the right do. They take a legitimate negative thing and they try to spin it around and gaslight you to make you think you're a fool for being upset at these people, and then turn them into victims. These people who ran over police, destroyed property, got in there, were wanting to hang Mike Pence, chanting that they wanted to hang Mike Pence. They wanted to get their hands on the nearest representative that they could to try to harm them, kill them, and possibly rape of some of the women as well who were there. There was all kinds of really zip ties. People brought in zip ties. Like, there's all kinds of. But now we've got to feel sympathy for the J6ers, which is utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. Cartoon 49 says, thoughts on Javier Bardem's comments on Trump. I heard Elon was mocking him on Twitter. Also thoughts on Elon doubling down his comment on the Odyssey. Okay, we'll address that in just a little bit. I promise, Cartoon 49. So thank you very much for that. Fantastic says, the Rocha video is essay. I'll buy that for $1. There you go. Did you see Obsession yet? Says Cartoon 49. I thought it was great. I've not seen it yet. I will find time. I promise. Enrique Neritu says, thoughts and prayers for everyone affected by the mosque shooting. Insane that public hate crime shooting are still a thing. Yes, it's a sad thing. Living here. Claremont's not that far away. It's like 20 minutes away from us where we live. I followed that story yesterday. It was heartbreaking. And to find out that it was two teenagers, I think 19 and 17, one being a wrestler, a young wrestler who had won awards and looked to have a promising next stage of his life in college as a wrestler, to see them being manipulated by this rhetoric, this Islamophobic rhetoric, to commit the crimes that they committed. There were SS stickers on the gas cans. That's what they reported. There were images of that. They sadly killed a guard. I think his name was Amir Abdullah, and he was a father of 8. And everyone is saying he's a hero because he saved more people by putting himself in the line of fire. Sadly, 2 other people were killed. I think one was a grocery shop owner. And then the 2 kids, I think, killed themselves. And it's what for? Like, really, what for? Nothing. Literally nothing. Right? But of course, the young kids, because this is how these movements run. They grab kids at young age. They manipulate their minds because their frontal lobes aren't developed to be a little more analytical in their approach to things. And they pump their minds full of this anti people of color rhetoric or Islamophobic rhetoric. They convince them that these people are trying to destroy and kill the United States. And they take it upon themselves as soldiers to go and to protect our country by attacking a mosque in this manner. And this applies to a temple. This applies to any religious institution that gets attacked by people who are manipulated, brainwashed, corrupted by the rhetoric mostly from the right to get them to commit these kinds of acts that are horrible. And it's just a shame. It's a shame on so many, because 2 young lives have been lost here that could have led to, could have gotten married, could have had kids, could have led amazing families, could have also led amazing careers. Sadly, 2 families lose their children. Sadly, a father of 8 is murdered, and their 8 kids have lost their father. Sadly, the grocery shop owner, his family have lost him, and the other person who was killed, which I don't know right now, the information, all of it. It's just heartbreaking. It's sad on so many levels. So yeah, for sure. Wiley says, congrats on the new show, Rocha. I'll be there day 1. What are your thoughts on the final season of The Boys? I've seen mixed reactions, but I think it's been really strong. Thanks, here to help. Yes, I agree, Wiley. I've enjoyed the last season of The Boys. For the most part, I've been enjoying it. A couple of my geek buddies, or a couple of geek on a text chain I'm on, have not been enjoying it, are very cranky and grouchy about it. So I haven't responded to them because there's only so many battles and back and forths I can have in my life, and I have the energy for. But I have been enjoying The Boys this season. It's better than last season. So, but yeah, we'll see. And thanks so much for supporting, brother. I appreciate you very much. Off topic, did you see that game last night? I did. I'll talk about it a little bit later here on the show for sure. Bexy says, on Threads, Gunn said this was a trailer while the other was a teaser. I don't know if it means anything, but I found it interesting that he said that. Oh my God. I just don't understand that. I really do not understand it on so many levels. These are teasers. Let them be teasers. Why are you trying to change the designation of one teaser to be an official trailer? If it was supposed to be an official trailer, you should have released it as an official trailer. James Gunn, you are the co-CEO of DC Studios. Are you not having a conversation with the marketing people to make sure they're putting this out and calling it what it is? For you to go on Threads to try to change the meaning of the trailer, I think is a massive mistake on so many levels. So I don't understand that at all. I think it's yet another social media mistake from James Gunn to do that, because now people look at this trailer and go, well, is this an official trailer? Well, then I judge it through a different prism, right? Where is the story? Where are the villains? What is going on here? So you can bring more criticism on the teaser trailer. Maybe he's saying this because the trailer has been received so well overall that he wants to take a bit of a victory lap on this because the trailer has been received so well. Because that last trailer was not received as well, and I didn't catch him saying too much about that last trailer. Now he's like, "This is an official trailer. This is the real show." Blah blah blah. So, yeah, I think it's another situation where he's not 100% on board. Master McCall says, Beth Snyder, you keep covering for Winston, but I know about his double life. I saw him on the Boy set. I know his own father. Winston is David Diggs. Oh, I bet Winston would love to be David Diggs. There's good money in being David Diggs. You're also incredibly talented as a singer and performer. So I would love to be David Diggs myself, let alone Winston A. Marshall. So it's very possible. Kings Park House says, cool watch. What brand is it? Oh, it's just an Apple Watch. Just an Apple Watch, bro. Apple Watch. All right, that's enough of those questions. Keep sending in your Streamlabs and Super Chats. I would appreciate it very much. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us today. Let's get to the next thing I wanted to talk about. Where is this? Yeah, let's get into the Mandalorian and Grogu stuff. Let me bring up some of the reviews for this and see where we're at on this. Here we go. Mandalorian and Grogu reviews. Okay, here we go. Let's bring this up from Deadline. Let's take a look at it together. Hopefully it'll default to what I was before. No, it didn't. Okay, well, we'll do that. And we'll take me down. take my banner down. Where am I? There we go. All right, let's take a look at the Deadline article here and see what they have to say about these situations here. All right. So the reviews are rolling in for the latest Star Wars installment of Mandalorian and Grogu. Set shortly after the series, the movie follows Din Djarin as apprentice Grogu as the New Republic enlists them to rescue Rada the Hutt in exchange for information on a target. Sigourney Weaver also stars, Jon Favreau director. The early critical reaction is underwhelming after the early fan and influencer social reaction inevitably skewed positive. This is very true. With the film garnering 62% on Rotten Tomatoes from 50 reviews, Deadline's Damon Wise described the film as pretty entertaining when it's at its simplest, but echoed many critics' views today in viewing the franchise as one that is lost and in need of a way back to base. He writes, at the end of the day, Mandalorian and Grogu is what it is, and the fan base will show up for it, for sure. But for how much longer? The same fans are tired of being in the limbo between the original films and the prequels, and they want to see more of minor characters than the usual suspects. When you break it down, Mandalorian and Grogu is basically the Wonder Years version of Boba Fett, Jabba the Hutt, and Yoda. But is the younger audience going to stay with the franchise when they're old enough to choose movies of their own? Next year, the original Star Wars turns 50, and it is showing its age. IGN said of the film, this is not the way. It feels inevitable that in the years to come, the popular criticism of Mandalorian and Grogu will be that it just feels like either a truncated season of the TV show or a too long episode. Den of Geek, who is usually a bit more positive on these reviews, was also dispirited. They said it isn't a bad film per se. It's just a disappointingly average one set in a universe that once inspired all. Star Wars: The Mandalorian and Grogu might be the first summer tentpole blockbuster that feels like a small screen rerun. Gizmodo was also left cold. Something... What Favreau neglected to do, though, is what Lucas later did with the prequel trilogy. He neglected to make a Star Wars movie for people who had watched the show, for people who have followed the franchise. The Verge says a similar thing. The Mandalorian and Grogu should have been a season of TV. The new Star Wars movie isn't strong enough to get the franchise back on track. Empire, though, gave the film 3 out of 5 stars, noting, oddly, it feels like the least consequential Mandalorian chapter yet, with previous episodes from the TV incarnation or even segments of the much maligned Book of Boba Fett having more impact on the narrative. It's thinner than skim blue milk. The Guardian gave it a 3 out of 5, saying he called it a decent outing. The badass bounty hunter and his little green friend take on the Empire and Jabba the Hutt's family in a solid enough addition to the ever-expanding universe. IndieWire also said that it resembled a TV episode. This supersized episode is Star Wars at its most generic, inessential, and inoffensive, frequently adorable and fun for the whole family. Jon Favreau's film feels like 3 good enough TV episodes smushed together. Polygon was more of a fan, saying that while the movie probably shouldn't exist, the reviewer was glad it did. Mando and Grogu isn't a Star Wars movie, but it's still a damn good time. Well, it is a Star Wars movie, but it is what it is. And then the Telegraph and Independent were much more damning in their reviews of Mando and Grogu. Let me see what the Rotten Tomato score is right now. Let's see here. It is at 60% with 110 reviews. Let's go to that one and look at some of the reviews here. Zoom in. So let's see. Let's say top critics. People I recognize. John Wenzel, Denver Post, 3 out of 4. It's glorious high adventure that, like the original Star Wars trilogy, is both accessible and visually daring. Yeah, I would say that Jon Favreau, there are some shots in Mandalorian and Grogu that take full advantage of the IMAX screen if you go see it on IMAX. That I thought was a fun time. Robert Abele from the LA Times says, one of the movie's strong points, absent its story deficiency, is that across its many wordless scenes, it's at heart a solidly rousing, delightfully icky creature feature in the vein of a supercharged Ray Harryhausen meets Guillermo del Toro joint. I would agree with that. That's one of the things I point out in my review. Alonso Duralde, friend of the Schmodown, Alonso Duralde said, there's no shortage of Star Wars level wow factor, from the slimy beasts to the outer space dogfights to Ludwig Göransson's score. Yeah, Ludwig Göransson's score is good in the movie. I 100% agree with that. Kristen Lopez gave it a C. The plot is non-existent. It really does feel like a fully CGI movie. But when it's just Mando and Grogu going from A to B, it's such a sweet story. I agree. Yes, that's the heart of the movie. That's where the movie really hums and sings, is when it's Mando and Grogu together in a scene, and not so much when they're separated. Although there is some great stuff with, some good stuff with Grogu. Let's see. Jesse Hesenberg gave it a B on the AV Club. Lindy Merrick and Hey You Guys gave it 4 out of 5. So there are some positive reviews here from the top critics. Owen Gleedman of Variety gave it a positive review. Disney, the purveyor of Star Wars, is offering nothing more or less than a couple of likable, diverting, semi-forgettable episodes jammed together. There you go. Mark Kennedy, AP, gave it a 2 out of 4. Brian Truitt from USA Today gave it a 3 out of 4. It's an enjoyable throwback romp with plenty of action and weird creatures to overcome its weaknesses. As I mentioned, the Times, not so positive on it. Kevin Maher there. Danny Lee of the Financial Times says it gave it a 3 out of 5, which is mostly positive. Johnny's New York Post, the New York Post of all people, gave it a 3 out of 4. He says it's not a starting point for a series of films so much as a likable enough one-off with plenty of exciting action set pieces. New York Magazine, Bill Jabiri, who's notoriously a tough critic there for Vulture, said it's brab and stone-faced to a fault. Kate Erbel and IndieWire already read that. She gave it a C+. And Matt Singer, Screen Crush, gave it a 6 out of 10. Is there anyone else that I recognize? Bibiani liked it. A definite enjoyable blockbuster, easily the most purely entertaining Star Wars movie since the 1980s, even though it's hardly the most meaningful or ambitious. I might have to agree with Bibbs, to be honest with you. Yeah, I might have to agree with Bibbs. I just might once again have to agree with Bibbs, which is a really weird thing in my life lately. Frank Shett, the Hollywood Reporter, gave it a positive. It's hard to imagine anyone experiencing this as their first Star Wars film and getting hooked for life as those who saw the original trilogy in theaters did. Still, it's an entertaining, fast-paced space adventure. I think that's false. I think there are quite a few kids who will watch this movie who have enjoyed the Mando and Grogu series and will love this movie, and this will be their entryway into Star Wars, which I think is very possible. Nick Schrager of the Daily Beast said a swashbuckling space western that deftly marries combative spectacle and kid-friendly cuteness. And Liz Shannon Minner of Consequence gave it a positive B. There have been some exciting new stories told in this universe since The Rise of Skywalker, but watching this latest installment of Lone Wolf and Cub in Space just confirms the degree to which Star Wars feels like it's spinning its wheels, but still gave it a B. So, yeah, there you go with Mandalorian and Grogu. I think overall, a majority of the top critics like it, but I think some of the other critics, the YouTube critics, are not liking it as much. And you have to question some of these YouTube critics and influencers who are hell-bent on attacking Star Wars. You have to question the authenticity of their reviews and their analysis. See, because they're the first people to tell you that anybody who gets invited to a set is a shill. They'll go on their YouTube channels and say that anyone who gets to see the movie first, never mind that I saw a few of them in my screening in LA, never mind that I saw a few of these anti-Star Wars, anti-woke, anti-DEI YouTubers there at my screening at the Mandalorian. They're the ones who get in, but when you're positive about Star Wars, they think you're lying and you're a shill. But them being negative about Star Wars, never mind that they're always negative about Star Wars, they're somehow telling you the authentic truth. This is the fallacy of both sides, okay? Somewhere in the middle is the logical place to be. I exist in the middle. Some things I like, some things I don't, right? And I'm honest on both. I'm not invested in destroying Star Wars like some of these anti-woke, anti-DI YouTube channels are, nor am I invested in propping up Star Wars no matter what they do, that their farts smell like roses, like some of these overly positive channels and overly positive critics do. It's best to sit in the middle, take a movie as it comes and give your own points of views on it and what have you. So to me, I think this is a film, and I say this in my review tomorrow. You guys can watch that tomorrow. I won't give too much away, but I enjoyed my time in the theater. I will see it again this week because I have a free Fandango code through the publicists down here in San Diego, but I wouldn't be necessarily rushing back to watch it. But that being said, I wasn't bored. I was smiling. There were some really funny moments in the film. There were some really good stuff with the creatures, some good stuff with the whole bounty hunter sequence, I think, is some good action fight sequences as well. I do think the CGI for the Hutts is not strong. There are issues there. I do think the story is lightweight. I do think it feels like a bunch of episodes strung together, but they're not bad episodes. That's the thing. It'd be different if this was a series of season 3 episodes strung together. Then I think I'd have a lot less positive feeling about it. But it's more akin to like season 1 with a dash of season 2 episodes strung together overall. And I think there's a sequence with Grogu that the film is allowed to do in a way that the TV series was not allowed to do. And I think that's a good thing. And I think Pedro is damn good in the movie. But I do have my issues with the movie, which I'll talk about in my review tomorrow. Yeah. So it says Harloff said he was bored. Yeah, right. Welcome to the world of subjective entertainment. He was bored. I was entertained. We didn't get a chance to talk about it yesterday. We were going to talk about it yesterday, but we ran out of time with all the stuff we have. So, all right, Ronan, you've seen it. The action is great. Yes, absolutely. The action is great. But, the story is weak. The story, it's not strong. It's a lightweight story. I don't want to say weak. It's just lightweight. And it doesn't take you where it should take you when it comes to Star Wars, when it comes to Mandalorian and Grogu, when you want to see more. And I see some people, and this separates me from other people. And by the way, I'm not judging people who feel this way. I think people who really, really love Star Wars, there are some people in the Star Wars fandom who say, you should only do a movie if it's the most epic, amazing Star Wars movie. It's got to be great. Never mind that a lot of people went to see the prequels, didn't like them. All three of them didn't like them. Never mind that people haven't liked Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. There are people who don't like Return of the Jedi. So, and then Solo, right? There's even some people who don't like Rogue One, which I don't understand. So this idea that you can only do Star Wars movies that are epic and life-changing and canon-changing and universe affecting, I think is nonsense. It's not realistic, in my opinion, right? You can believe differently. I'm not judging you for believing that. I'm just saying I think it's nonsense because we're in a different age now. This isn't 1977. This isn't even 2000, right? Or 99 when Phantom Menace came out. The Star Wars franchise is completely different. It has morphed into something else. There's TV shows, there's animated series, there's all kinds of stuff that goes on with Star Wars. So to think that only an epic, amazing, canon-changing film should be in the theaters and nothing else is not realistic to where a franchise and its needs are today. I think a lot of kids are going to love Mandalorian and Grogu. And don't be surprised if those are the kids that are bringing their parents back to watch it over and over again, and this movie has legs. It could very well sink. It's very possible it could sink. But there may be a surprise story here where it hangs on. And I do think this is the kind of movie that there will be a reappraisal of in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, where people see it in a much more positive light, especially as the kids grow up who watched this movie and liked it at 7 years old, just like we saw with the prequel trilogy. They will get older and champion this movie, and the grouchy fucks who are sitting on their recliners at 80 or 70 years old who don't like it now, or 60 years old, don't like it now, will be drowned out. Their voices will be drowned out over Mandalorian and Grogu. So we'll see. Okay, so there we go. That's my Mandalorian and Grogu stuff. I hope that helps for you guys. Sorry, let me. I can try it live on the show. So talk to my designer right now. All right, so that's everything for Mandalorian and Grogu. Everything for Lanterns. I will answer some more questions in just a little bit. Let's move on to Masters of the Universe. Let's move on to some of these first reactions for Masters of the Universe. As I said, there was a premiere last night. This is another film that a lot of people are looking forward to. The Power of Grayskull. Masters of the Universe first reactions from the premiere. Let's put me down. Take off my thing here. Put me down here. All right, let's look at this. How do I make this? I don't know how to make this bigger, but all right. Well, I guess we'll just go to view. Zoom in. All right, there we go. All right. If any of you live in LA right now, I just got a notice of a wildfire alert. So I hope you guys are following along with that and taking care of yourselves. What happened there? Okay. So, all right. Let's get to it. Paragraph. While official critics' reviews of Travis Knight's live action will release are embargoed until much closer to the release date, MGM and MGM Studios allow people to attend and do brief social media reactions. So let's take a look at some of these reactions. Courtney Howard there. She said, Masters of the Universe, Shaggy Charms worked on me. A colossally epic time. Has a Guardians of the Galaxy style, self-aware tone, and a radical message at its core. Nicholas Galitzine and Camila Mendes nailed it. Daniel Pemberton's rock score with assist from Brian May. Hit so good. Stay through the credits. She says director Travis Knight has a genuine reverence for all the incarnations of the He-Man character, the Masters Universe action figures. Easter eggs are incorporated with craft and care. I got a little misty at one point. There you go. Harry said, it's bound to be one of the biggest surprises of 2026 for me. I loved Masters of the Universe. I'm a huge fan of a lot of the folks involved. But it was never, why do you say that? Like, to me, when you say that, it's like you're kind of undercutting the objectivity of your review. But, you know, I'm a reaction. I'm a huge fan of a lot of folks involved, but it was never really my thing growing up. And I kind of assumed the same would be true now. I can't click on this. So basically, she's saying she enjoyed it. So there we go. Peter Gray says the looks, Nicholas Galitzine looks the part in Master of the Universe, and how, but it's his comedic timing that steals the show. Knowingly cartoonish, packed with 80s vibes, and Jared Leto camps it up vocally as Skeletor, slightly risque, but mostly family friendly. Rachel Leishman says it's a hell of a lot of fun. Nicholas Galitzine brings a sweetness to Adam Glenn that makes his take on He-Man memorable, and also a fascinating take on masculinity. Yes, this is what I hear about the movie from a couple of people who went to see it who didn't 100% like it, but they said it's a very interesting take on masculinity and on basically undercutting the idea of toxic masculinity and creating a new version of masculinity that's empathetic and caring and loving and open with emotion. So I think this is you're going to get the anti-woke, anti-DEI people writing their reactions, writing their reviews, scoffing at this movie because they're invested in scoffing at anything that dares to highlight toxic masculinity in a franchise, or send it up as a joke, which we will see. I haven't seen it yet, so we'll see. Kevin Fenix says Master Universe revives Saturday morning cartoon magic with massive action, silly laughs, and real heart. Eternia looks like Rudy Obrero's box art brought to life in full technicolor glory. And yes, Master Universe is absolutely all about them muscles. There you go. Chris Killian, my boy Chris, said, I love Masters of the Universe, both a love letter to all things He-Man and a beautiful, bombastic fantasy sci-fi crowd pleaser that wears its heart on its sleeve. It's insane this movie exists, but I'm so happy it does. I had the biggest smile on my face the whole way through. All right. Maggie, my girl Maggie over there at Collider, says, if you missed the hopeful, bright, and upbeat joy that the 1980s once possessed, you have the power to find it again by watching Masters of the Universe, a film bursting with so much life and fun. You truly won't want it to end, but oh boy, oh boy, when it does end. So what does that mean? What are the eyes there? But oh boy, when it does end. I wonder what that means. Jermaine Lucier, a little less positive. He says Masters of the Universe has a very fun, weird, yet enjoyable last 20 minutes or so. Now, that's funny. Enjoyable last 20 minutes. And then Maggie with the eyes of oh boy, when it does end. So interesting. As for the rest of the movie, it's a mess. Serious played for laughs, laughs played for emotion. It works. It doesn't. It really tries, but ends up being too awkward. Great end credit scenes, though. All right. That's going to be fascinating. BJ Colangelo, I don't know her. Scott Menzel, my boy there over at HCA, says Master of the Universe is everything this 80s kid wanted and more. It's gloriously campy, wildly entertaining, and nonstop from beginning to end. Nonstop fun from beginning to end. Travis Knight completely understood the assignment and delivered exactly what fans of this franchise have been waiting for. All right. Best thing about it is that it embraces its roots as an over-the-top 80s cartoon come to life. It never takes itself too seriously, leans completely into the cheese factor, and proudly wears its heart on its sleeve. Andrew Salazar says, I kind of really wasn't vibing with this for a bit, but once it finally found its footing, it's undeniably fun and unapologetically proud of its fantastical camp. Skeletor already in contention for one of the most memorable villains of the year. Yes, I've heard this from a couple other people too, who say that Leto's Skeletor is a standout in the movie. Imagine that. Let's see who else I kind of know here. Brandon Norwood said, Masters of the Universe is literally a Saturday morning cartoon come to life. Not for me, but I imagine fans will be highly pleased. Junior Felix, my brother there, says it's an 80s kid's dream come true. It's campy in the absolute best way possible. The callbacks to the series are incredibly beautiful and nostalgic. I love that this cast goes all in and shows what made the original such a classic. Law says it made him feel like a kid again. Nerds of Color say Travis Knight has crafted a perfect Master Universe film, embraces its campiness and colorful glory, and knows exactly what it is. I don't know comic nerd. And my boy Griffin says it's clear that everyone involved with Master Universe has such an unabashed passion for the source material and its impact on their creativity. While at times feeling like a relic from the 2010s IP grab, it finds its strength in proudly embracing the quirky, campy, what else does it say? Campy after-school specialisms that endeared its filmmakers to it as children. He also says that it pains me to say, but Jared Leto is generally unrecognizable and very, very good in Masters of the Universe. He and Brie understood the assignment. Skeletor and Evelyn steal the whole damn thing. All right, there you go. Seems like pretty positive for Masters of the Universe. So we will see. We will. Karen says this is a dude's film. Karen, I don't know. Evil Lynn is in it. What's her name? Tila's in it. Like there's women in this film. And if it's having a take on masculinity that pushes against toxic masculinity, I would argue that makes it a little more female as well in terms of like understanding the treatment of everyone around them, including women, and how toxic masculinity is really corrosive to women. So we will see. We will see. And maybe the end credit scene is She-Ra, which a lot of people have been speculating will be part of the sequel. So yeah, these now keep in mind, these are first reactions from people who went to see the premiere, who are, who might have been caught up in the joy and being there and everyone around them. Like when I went to see Mando and Grogu, people clapped at the end of the movie. People laughed, people cheered. I'm telling you. And I went to a press screening, okay? The woman next to me, the older lady next to me, very sweet lady, she kept grabbing my arm and we don't know each other, but she kept grabbing my arm a couple spots at the cuteness of Grogu, and then cheered with the final action sequences that go on there in the film. So, we get caught up sometimes when you're there at a premiere or when you're there at a first showing. So you always want to take these things with a grain of salt, because there were a lot of positive reactions coming out of the first reactions for Mando and Grogu, and then we saw the reviews coming in. It's only at 60%. I thought it would be higher. I thought it'd be like 72, 70. But it's not there. We'll see as more critics chime in, including me. I haven't added mine to Rotten Tomatoes. But with Masters of the Universe, I just want it to be fun. I hope it's fun. But just like Mandalorian and Grogu, they are not screening Masters of the Universe in a lot of cities, including my city, San Diego. They are not screening it here, which I only found out yesterday morning that they're not screening it here. So do I have to wait till June 5th? I've reached out to a couple of people to see if maybe there's another screening coming up in LA. I would want to go see it to give my 2 cents and have a reaction. So we'll see if I get a chance to go see it. After I drove up for Mando and Grogu, I swore I wasn't going to come up for another film in LA, but it depends on this one and the timing of it. Maybe I can slide in and slide out without so much traffic the next time I do it. So we will see. All right. So there you go for Masters of the Universe. We'll see what happens when that actually comes out, which I think is very soon, in June 5th, just a couple weeks from now. So put that on your calendars. All right. Let's answer some questions before we move on to some more subjects. 200 of you joining me live right now. Thank you very much. For those of you who don't know, maybe you didn't hear at the beginning, unfortunately, Winston couldn't join us tonight because Winston had internet issues. He had the internet went down around his area. Tech guys were coming out around 4, but hadn't been there at 4. They hadn't even arrived yet. And when he texted me at 4:30 to say it looks like he wasn't going to be able to make the show. So hopefully it'll fix itself very soon. And we'll be back on he'll be back next week for sure. All right, let's see. Where do we leave off on the questions? All right. Fiona George, what do you think? Who do you think shit in Elon's cereal, John? I don't know, man. I really don't know. I don't understand having all that money and being so angry and bitter and willing to engage in the culture wars. I'll tell you right now, if I was a billionaire, I wouldn't say a fucking thing to anybody about anything. I would disappear, enjoy my money, see the world, see everything. But these people who achieve this kind of success are driven, some of them are driven by a need for attention, a need for validation. No matter how rich you are, you're still a human being. And the things apply, whether you're poor or you're rich or you're middle class. The things that fucked you up as a kid stay within you all the way to the end of your life. Whether you deal with them or not is your own personal journey. So I just wonder if maybe Elon is caught up in all of the madness of the world, wants to be part of it, because he's probably a kid who was very much beat up or nerded out, wasn't part of the group, probably ridiculed and made fun of and what have you. I don't know his full story, but he seems like a dweeby guy who would be being made fun of when he was a young kid, because some of you may not know this, but back then nerds weren't treated so well. I remember getting my ass kicked quite a few times by the jocks and the dudes who were part of the sports teams and all that kind of shit, the fucking bullies of the school. I remember just getting my ass kicked from probably when I was 8 years old till I was 15. Just, trying to run away from getting my ass kicked, all that kind of stuff. And so maybe Elon had that within. It's one of the reasons why sometimes people don't get. They're like, I have a chip on my shoulder because of that experience. So I don't like being bullied or pushed around or ridiculed or, poked at, which I've gotten better at. Trust me. In my 20s, I was a absolute reactionary machine, but now I'm much more relaxed. I know some of you may not believe that, but it's true. So I try to temper that kind of situation. But yeah. But it's a shame for Elon. I don't understand it. And I'll talk about it a little bit. But Fiona says, also hope Winston is good. He's good. It's just the internet. It's nothing personal going on with him. Fiona also says, glad you enjoyed Mando and Grogu, John. As long as it's a fun space adventure with some sweet moments, I won't be too fussed if it hasn't gotten too much depth to it. Yeah. Also, a lot of the negativity surrounding Star Wars can be exhausting sometimes. Brother, I hear you, man. I hear you. It really is kind of like, like I'm on a text thread right now where I have a few friends who are just kind of bashing on it and gleefully ridiculing it. And I was like, I don't want that energy. Like, I just don't need that energy. So I've muted that text thread because I don't want to hear it, and I want to kind of go on with my life and not check on it. So, it's a shame because I think there is, I didn't have any big expectations for this movie. I just wanted to enjoy myself, and I did, in the end. So, and some people won't, and some people will not like it, as we saw some of the British reviewers do. So, it's the way it goes. Welcome to subjective entertainment. Brian Davison. They say, Brian, seeing Mando with my 23-year-old son tomorrow night, but really looking forward to Masters of the Universe. Yeah. I hope if those reactions hold up, bro, I'm with you. I loved He-Man growing up. I hope that bodes well for the movie when I finally see it. But yeah, I'm in your camp, bud. W. Grass says, you need to see the Grand Slam the Red Sox just gave up. I'm doing a show, bro. I'm doing a show. Fiona says, what do you think about Nicholas Galitzine, who plays He-Man, playing Bond? Well, I think one iconic character at a time is enough. I don't know. I mean, I would love Robert Pattinson to be Bond, but he's playing Batman. I think he'd be a great Bond. The Tom Francis guy, I don't know if I buy that. I don't know if that's his publicist leaking it to give him status. I don't know what's going on with that, but it's weird. I don't necessarily see that. So he's not a choice I would have in my head, but I mean, maybe. Let me see the movie, Fiona. I can't give you a full answer until I see the movie. So I have to see the movie to give you my idea. Let's see here. Paul says, slide in and out. Rocha treating screenings like LA like batteries down. Jesus Christ. I just mean no traffic, which means I can leave at 12, get there by 2:15, hang out somewhere, and then maybe go see another movie at the Grove or at the Universal City, and then watch the screening. So, or grab lunch or dinner with Shannon or one of my friends up there in LA. So yeah, that's what I mean. And then leave at 10 o'clock where there's no traffic and get home by midnight. So that's how you do it from San Diego. Leave at 12 when there's no traffic, or 11 when there's no traffic. Get to LA, go see a movie, go see a music, go to a museum, maybe the Academy Museum, and then head to your screening. The screening's done by 9:30, 10 o'clock. Get on the road, you're home. That way you've avoided large scale traffic. Because when I went up for Mando and Grogu, it was 3 hours to get there because I left a little bit later, and 2.5 hours to get back. So it was annoying as hell. Let's see. Do I have any Streamlabs? 2 of them. We go. Fantastic. Sup, Spillers? This weekend starts my massive infiltration of my local theater with so many releases happening that have piqued my interest. Hopefully I go enough to maintain my platinum status so I'm not cramming movies in the end that I don't care for. Well, there's a lot out there, Fred. And they've re-released a lot of films as well. Top Gun Maverick and Top Gun are in the theaters right now. Shrek is in the theaters right now. Where I live, Footloose is coming out in the theaters tomorrow for a day. So there's certainly a lot for you to take advantage of for sure. And of course, Obsession, Hokum, Michael still in the theaters and doing well. Number 1 at the box office over the weekend. Project Hail Mary is still in the theaters. So there's a lot for sure. Fred also says, we know not one penny is going to the January Sixers because that's what this guy does, just like the Trump phones. Oh, that's very possible that he's keeping the money for himself, the $1.6 billion. That is very, very possible. Fred, great points. Great points. All right, let's talk. Where do we want to go next? What do you guys want to talk about next? Right, Is God Is in the theaters as well, which a lot of people have said is really positive. So what do you guys want to talk about next? We can talk about Sebastian Stan's comments at Cannes. We could talk about the Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano situation. I did have this because I thought Winston was going to be on the show today, but he is not on the show. But Jason Kidd was fired by the Dallas Mavericks today. But Winston's not on the show, so I guess we can't talk about it. So, if you're speaking of museum, are you excited for Lucas's museum? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait to get up there and see that thing. And not just the Star Wars wing, which is like one small part of it, but all of it for sure. All right, let's move on to Sebastian Stan. Let's talk about it. Sebastian Stan, let me bring this up so we can read along this article together. But Sebastian Stan had some comments here at Con. And let's bring them up and we'll look at it together. Let me take myself down. Take this down. Here we go. All right, we'll follow along together. I'll take this down, and then I'll put myself in the corner here. How can I make this bigger? Do you guys know how I can make this bigger? Oh, there we go. Is that how I need to do it? Okay, I guess I could do it that way. Let me see if I can make it. Oh, no, that's way too. Okay, so let's see if I can do this. Zoom in. All right. Sebastian Stan slams Donald Trump and says what's going on in America is not a laughing matter. We're in a really bad place. 2 years after his Donald Trump biopic, The Apprentice, premiered at Cannes, Sebastian Stan, or Cannes, however you want to say it, Sebastian Stan, or Cannes, if you guys are saying it that way, reflected on the role during the press conference for his new movie, Fjord, saying America is, quote, in a really, really bad place. When the actor was asked his thoughts on The Apprentice, which premiered just before the 2024 election, now the Trump said, you know what? Forget this. Let's watch him. Because it is on the internet. Let us watch Sebastian Stan on the internet. Let's just watch, because this is not copyrighted, I don't think. So let's watch what Sebastian has to say about this. Well, you don't need me to read it. Let's watch from Sebastian's own mouth. Okay, can I make this bigger? Yes. Okay, and can I make this louder for myself? All right, here we go.
It's just not a laughing matter, to be honest. It isn't. You know, it's... I think we're in a really, really bad place. I really do. And to be honest with you, it's like when you're looking at what's happening, right, which is if we're talking about the consolidation of the media, censorship, the threats, the supposed lawsuits that seemingly never end but don't actually go anywhere. You know, the writing was on the wall. We encountered all that with the movie. You know, to the point where we were 3 days before the festival unsure if the movie was going to play at the festival. So,
wow,
you know, it's maybe people are paying attention more to that film. I think it will stand the test of time for that. But we went through all of it way before Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert and so on, you know. So wish it wasn't like that.
Yeah, there you go. It's comments from Sebastian Stan. I think there's more that he had to say about it as well. Yeah, here we go. Let's bring this one up. Let me share this one. Is that one? Okay, cool. Let me play this one as well.
I think you're talking about discrimination, right? On all levels, which is sort of happening around all of us. I mean, how are we all dealing with it? I think the only way to do it is just to remain as honest as possible and to think about your own morals and your own values and be the example that you want to see in the world, right? I mean, I struggle with this a lot. You know, what's my part? What's my responsibility? You know, I'm an actor, whatever, you know, but like, I'm not on the front lines. I'm not in an operating room, you know, I'm not out there being shot at, but this is my medium, this is my lane, and all I can do is, you know, try to involve myself in movies that bring up conversations and different point of views. And, you know, it's interesting, it reminded me, that last thought or question there reminded me of this, George Saunders was talking in an interview about this Chekhov quote, which I thought was really relevant for this film, but I think for art in general, which was, art doesn't have to solve a problem. It just has to embody it correctly. And I think as long as we can continue to do that fearlessly, then I think we can actually push back against those things.
That's very, very strong comments from Sebastian Stan there about what's going on in our world right now, what's going on in our country right now, and saying that it's not a laughing matter and that we're in a really bad place. And he's right. We are. Let me see if this works. Ooh, no, not quite. So close. So maybe we should move the logo over to the left, right? I think that's the smart. All right, let me show that to. Sorry, let me take a picture of that real quick for my graphic designer and show them that like this is not the way to go. Okay, so there we go. Yeah. So I think it's I think it's great to be that he's speaking out. See, the thing is now what you see nowadays, and I said this in my post today about this, where I said like the issue that we're seeing now is that there is this concerted effort to shut celebrities up. There's a concerted effort to shut up actors. Bill Maher is doing it, ironically, a celebrity himself. We saw Josh Duhamel talk about it. Billy Bob Thornton said it just a few days ago. I don't care what celebrities think, blah, blah, blah. You're offering your opinion, and you're saying celebrities shouldn't offer opinions, but yet you're offering your opinion, right? It's this kind of thing, right? But it's all basically aimed at the left. It's aimed at liberal celebrities, liberal actors, liberal creatives, anybody in the liberal space. They're not saying, shut up all the right wingers, right? You know why? Because the people saying it are employed by right-wing organization, right-wing friendly companies. They're doing movies that are right-wing friendly movies, right? Josh Duhamel is doing right-wing friendly movies. He's starring there with Zachary Levi, who is now only getting stuff in right-wing friendly movies. Bailey Bob Thornton recently starring in Landman. A lot of people accuse Taylor Sheridan of being right wing. I think there was what show that I watched recently? Oh, it was The Boys, right? They said when they were doing the movie, the last episode, like we put it through the Taylor Sheridan AI, and it's just pumping out right wing bumper stickers, which I think is a profound misunderstanding of Taylor Sheridan. But whatever, it is what it is. There's a stereotype there, but you see that kind of thing coming in. So you're like, okay, yeah, shut these lefties up, these liberals. You know, they're such weak ass motherfuckers crying about empathy, blah blah blah, right? But guess who's not shutting up? The creatives and the celebrities on the right. They haven't shut up about freedom, about God, about religion, about the family, about the light, about bringing the light back to entertainment, like Angel Studios said. So the thing is, what I think is happening is there's this group think of our society that is being duped into believing that celebrities who speak out on issues with their large platforms are to be ridiculed. But other celebrities, the left celebrities, but other celebrities on the right who speak about God or the family or religion or going back to a time of the nuclear family, we're all like, oh, that's okay. They can say, oh, that's totally fine. That's totally cool. No problem there. And I think that's a hypocrisy inherent in the system now, in the conversations now, that frustrates me. Because if either everybody talks or nobody talks, right? Like you can't just be like, well, no, those celebrities should shut up, but I'm cool with my buddy talking about God and religion, and because those are coded, those are right-wing coded things. And I don't care what anybody says. Of course, religion can be right or left or middle, whatever. But the way they're presenting, the people who are talking about it, there's a lot of people who believe in God and Jesus Christ on the left. I believe in God and Jesus Christ. I would argue that I'm in the middle, but skewed to the left. So, you know, there's people, because of what the teachings of Jesus actually are, not what the teachings of Jesus that some of the people in the MAGA sphere have concocted in their heads, which the boys, I think, did so well in the previous episode. You have that in this situation. I think that's where I have issues with it, because it's like all celebrities should be allowed to speak their piece and speak their mind. But so many celebrities now that have been on the left, ever since Trump got elected, ever since CBS got bought out, Paramount got bought out there by Ellison and the right-wing skewing stuff. Now they've bought Warner Brothers. All of a sudden, you have celebrities who come out going like, oh, I don't do political stuff. They've spent 20 years talking about political shit. Now all of a sudden they're like, oh, apolitical stuff. Oh, I don't really want to speak on that. It's not really my place to speak on that. Here's the thing. If you were loud enough to speak on it when it was safe, and you can't speak on it when it might cost you something, you never really believed in it in the first place. And fuck you for doing that. Like, honestly, I get it. You have bills to pay, whatever. But if you're going to speak out, you got to understand that that's part of the exchange. If the mood of the country changes, you're not willing to speak out on it anymore, even though you still believe the same things, then what kind of principled moral person are you? And when the tide changes again, which inevitably it will, and you start to speak out again, why the fuck should we listen to you? If you can't speak the same message when the chips are down that you did when you were riding high and you thought everyone else was feeling the same way, then you don't have the strength of your convictions. You don't have a spine to defend your points of views. And I think that's where my issues lie. Like Neil Patrick Harris coming out going, oh, I only do apolitical work. Neil Patrick Harris has been on the front line of gay marriage, of feeding the world, of helping the LGBTQ plus community be seen as equals. Like, he's done a lot of political work for decades, you know? And so to see him say, well, I only do apolitical work, I'm only interested in apolitical work now, it is such a slap in the face because it reeks of convenience. And when people tell you not to listen to celebrities about stuff, when you see someone change their stance to save themselves, to save their pocketbook, that's when I go like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't listen to them, because if they're going to change on a dime to fit whatever their condition is, then that's an issue. Like in the WWE right now, there's a lot of controversy with Chelsea Green, because Chelsea Green has been very adamant about trans rights, very open and vocal about trans rights. But now she is apparently going to show up at that Trump 250 freedom nonsense celebration that they're having as a representative of WWE. She will be at that MMA event as a representative of the WWE. And a lot of people have come after her. And she said today, my defending these rights are not, don't preclude me from also performing my job. But yes, it does. Like, if you're going to help people who are trying to destroy trans people and their rights in this country, and you're going to turn around and be like, and collect the paycheck, but then turn around and say you're fighting for the rights, there's a hypocrisy here. You can't actually create a new narrative where you're allowed to do the job helping people who are trying to destroy the thing that you say you believe in and want to protect. That doesn't make sense. This is like you constructing the electric chair, but saying you're against death penalty. It doesn't make sense. You know, it's my job to build the electric chair, but I really am against the death penalty. Like, it just doesn't make sense. I'm not equating trans rights to death, but then again, there have been trans people who have been murdered by people who are homophobic, for sure, or transphobic, sorry. And so you see that situation. And so to me, this is where people are constructing their narratives again to protect their pocketbooks, to protect their job, their status, their wealth, their attention, their need for attention, their ego. And look, Chelsea's worked her way to this position, and Chelsea's overcome a lot of injuries. I love Chelsea. I'm a huge fan of Chelsea. And it breaks my heart with that reasoning she gave today, because it's self-serving. It's not congruent. It's self-serving. And that's where I have issues when I look at this kind of stuff, you know, for me. You know, and right, Karen, absolutely, Karen. Mark Ruffalo has said this, and he's very clear. He says, I know that I'm going to pay the price for my stances. I'm probably on a list already with Paramount and WB, but I know that that's part of this. And I'm willing to take the hits. Mark says that. I'm willing to take the hits, right? You know why? Because Mark understands. Mark goes, look, I'm going to lose some money here, but it's okay. I've got enough saved away. I've got enough to be able to live. I know there's other places I can make money. I'm going to be okay. But other people who have been used to living the high life and shooting their mouths off about liberal causes because it was safe to do so, now all of a sudden have a concern about losing the money and talking about liberal causes because they want to live that high life they're accustomed to living. So to those people, don't ever pay attention to them about anything again. Don't listen. And I know Hollywood's going to kiss their ass and host charities and fundraisers, blah, blah, blah. But to me, I don't give a fuck about anything they have to say anymore. To me, you've shown that you don't have the guts. Look at me. Listen, I could have, listen, if a Latino son of immigrants like me, with my energy and my kind of desire to be confrontational at times or poke the bear, if I was to go right wing, I'd be making money hand over fist. I'd have probably 500,000 subscribers on my channel. If I went after women, if I went after people of color, if I went after black people, the LGBT plus community, the trans community, I could make money all day long. But that's not who the hell I am. So I don't believe in it. And look, people make fun of me. People clip out things from me all the time. People make fun of my weight. Even though I've lost weight, they still put up pictures of me and heavy. And someone sent me that the other day. Go at it. Like, knock yourselves out. I give a fuck, man. Because I go in front of my creator and I say to my creator, I fought for the things that I believed in, and I fought for your word that I read in the Bible. and I fought for your message that you gave us when you created us, which is to love each other, to support each other, to push back against injustice, to fight against those who would try to destroy your creations. And every member of the LGBTQ plus community has been created by God, okay, exactly as they are. And yes, they have every right to change their mind and become another sex. They have every right to do all those things. That's free will. And God gave us all of that, in my opinion. And so this is where I look at it and go like, yeah, this is my belief in all of this. So yes, I'm following my moral compass and I am subject to ridicule. So fucking be it. So what? I go in front of my creator with a clean conscience, saying that I fought what I thought were the right fights, the good fights. And I fought for people so that we can be seen as equals. Women can be seen as equals. People of color can be seen as equals. The LGBTQ plus community can be seen as equals. And I take solace in that. It's not easy. It's tough. It's heartbreaking. It's overwhelming sometimes with all that's going on in our country right now and how many evil people are gleefully glomming on to Trump and doing this shit. Like, I'm going to play a video in a minute. Like that old man who used the N-word towards a black woman, this old lawyer, this old foghorn leghorn fucking hillbilly Billy Bob type. And he got confronted by a black man who said, "Why don't you say the N-word now?" And of course, the old man's balls turned to liquid and he hobbled away on his cane instead of saying it to his face. And that's the thing, you know, these motherfuckers are gleaming off of Trump and thinking they can strut around and say the most racist, sexist shit. And people aren't going to push back, but people are pushing back. And this is the thing. And I was talking to some friends of mine who were feeling a little demoralized last night. And listen, I sometimes can feel demoralized and overwhelmed by it all. But if you look at what's happening now in our country, right? It just came out with a poll. Trump has the worst approval rating for a president in his second term of any president in the history of the presidency. Any president. Millard fucking Fillmore, Woodrow Wilson, Teddy Roosevelt, Andrew Jackson, Ulysses S. Grant, Lincoln, Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Bush, Clinton, Reagan, Jimmy Carter, like all these presidents, Nixon, even Nixon. How the hell you have a worse approval rating in your second term, worse than Nixon? Nixon did Watergate in the second term. So you see these kinds of things and you go, oh, okay. Then you see all of these special elections that are happening. Democrats are winning almost all of these special elections, right? You see what's happening in LA. Karen Bass is really, Spencer Pratt might really give her a run. I don't know what's going to happen in that. There's certain pockets where it's still a little shady. It's still a little rough, but Democrats are overperforming in a lot of these areas. The problem is that the minority of people in charge of the government right now are trying to do everything in their power to turn back the hands of time. But if you look at people who are actually studying the elections, they tell you that all this gerrymandering that they're doing is going to pick them up maybe 4 to 5 seats. They're in danger of losing 40 seats. It's only going to make the wipeout a little bit less. But at this point right now, unless there's some really nefarious shit coming down the road, the Democrats are still going to take the House and possibly take the Senate. And so that's going to be interesting if he allows these elections to continue. And the thing is now so you're seeing that, right? And I think we've seen a real upswell of people who want to fight back and push back against what's happening in our country right now. And so, yes, it can feel hard. Yes, it can feel demoralizing. Yes, if you go on social media, it's full of bots that are pumping out right-wing talking points and negative talking points and hateful shit. It's not really real people. It's a lot of them are bots. If you go on YouTube, there's a lot of motherfuckers making money off that hateful shit. What happened today with this whole idea of like, now Trump and all of his family is absolved from any IRS stuff is crazy. So you see all of this stuff happening and it does feel hopeless, but we can push back. We can't. What, Josh? I'm Latino. I am Latino. I am not white. I'm Latino. So you look at these things. And so if you spend too much time on social media, you can start to lose hope in what's going on. And I get that. Listen, I suffer with it. There's many times where I want to quit social media altogether and just like post when my shows come out and then be done with it. And it probably would be better for my mental health if I did that. It probably would be. And I not even probably, I know it would be. But I want to make people aware of things. I want to be one of those voices that's out there because there are not a lot of voices in my space that are willing to be as open about the political stuff as I am, because they're all invested in getting more followers, subscribers, Patreon people, contributors to their kind of stuff. And I get that. I get it. They have kids to feed. They have houses. I totally get it, right? From their point of view. But from my point of view, I live my life as I see fit. And I make enough money to pay my bills and make enough money to save a little bit on the side. I'm very, very blessed in that way, right? And to be able to speak my mind and speak my piece in these situations. And that's what I'm called to do. And that's what I believe I am meant to do. And that's what brings me joy to do it, because I want to do my small part to help people feel like there's other people out there who are using their platforms to fight back against this stuff. I think I'm well-spoken enough to talk about this stuff knowledgeably and hopefully clue people into things that are happening that maybe they didn't know were happening. But it's a fine line, right? Sometimes am I posting too much and someone who follows me gets overwhelmed by all the information and can't process it and take it all in the way I can because they have less tolerance for it. So I have to be careful on how I handle myself in social media. So I'm starting to try to do less on social media, less posting, less reposting. One of the reasons I want to do the Rocha show is to really start talking about everything I want to talk about. Politics, sports, religion, whatever, the psychology, helping people who are suffering through mental health issues. Like, I want to change the channel into being something more than just entertainment and movies. It's going to be a slow progression, but that's what the Rocha show is going to do. And as I've seen with Spill the Teaquila's numbers have been growing. And at first I was a little demoralized. I wasn't sure people were going to keep coming back, but they have come back. And we've had good numbers the last few weeks. And that tells me that there's, people who want to hear what Winston and I have to say. And so I have to have faith in the Rocha show. Maybe one show will only do 2,000 views. Maybe one show will do 10 or 8 or 7. And so it's like building step by step, and I'm going to open the door to YouTube memberships to add more benefits for people who want to sign up for YouTube memberships here on my channel that will talk about more of these other things as well. Do special hangouts, do special, record special episodes, give a little bit of extra thoughts on stuff that's going on. So it's all of it to make myself more accessible, but in different ways, and keep myself off of social media as much as I can, so it's all of these things that I'm kind of looking at. So that's kind of where I'm at on this approach to things, because I'm no Joe Rogan, I'm no Theo Vaughn or anything like that. And I'll never be as big as some of the people in my space who push out those negative stuff and are just caught up in their bitterness and anger at all the franchises and all the studios, because that's what makes the money. I want to offer criticism and positive possibilities. I want to mix that. So we will see what happens with that down the road. Jesus, I just went on a whole tirade. I apologize. Or a little rant there. I apologize. So yeah. So anyway, getting back to what Sebastian Stan said, I'm really proud of the things that he's saying. I really love and respect that dude. I really do. And if there's a gift to be given to me in the next year, I hope I can get him on the channel for a sit down for an hour to just talk about how he approaches his work and how he approaches his points of views about the world and talks about them and why he's so willing to be open about them. And look, you have to factor in that Sebastian's also a white man, so he can get away with this with a little more grace than, say, an outspoken black man or person of color can, because, people do turn on them instinctively and subconsciously in larger numbers than they will a white man calling this stuff out. And we should also highlight, someone asked me about Javier, and I don't want to forget that we should talk about Javier real quick. If there's here we go. Let me bring this up and we'll listen to Javier speak about this as well. Let's see. He says,
I mean, are we fucking nuts? We kind of normalized it. It's like, well, yeah, it's horrible. I mean, are we fucking nuts? We are killing women because some men think they own them, they possess them.
Yeah.
So, and that problem also goes to Mr. Trump and Mr. Putin and Mr. Netanyahu, the big balls man saying my cock is bigger than yours, and I'm gonna bomb the shit out of you. It's a fucking male toxic behavior.
Agreed.
That is creating thousands of dead people. So, yeah, we have to talk about it. and I think if we are talking about it is because we are more aware of it, thankfully.
Yeah.
We kind of
Yeah.
normalized it.
Listen to that.
It's like,
that's great points that Javier says. We normalized it. Yes, 100%. I love that. Why does Netflix? Oh, sorry, Twitter not let you just go back. What else did he say here? Yeah, I mean, he's just saying the idea of toxic masculinity. I've seen people say like, oh, there's no such thing as toxic. Like, what's his face? Piers Morgan. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity, which is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Of course there is. Just like there's toxic femininity. There's toxic masculinity. There's toxic people. There's toxic attitudes. And I think what Javier is saying is exactly what I've been saying for quite some time. Too many men in power are caught up with dick measuring rather than actually caring for their people, caring for their countries they're supposed to be in charge of. They're much more about grandstanding through the world and pushing through the world. That's such a small dick, low self-esteem, highly insecure way of operating in the world. People who actually are a thing, they don't need to tell you they're the thing. They don't need to show you they're the thing. They just are the thing. And that's the difference. And too many people in our society, in our worlds, think that kind of bravado is reality when it isn't. You know, there's a great scene in The Apostle. Have you ever seen Robert Duvall in The Apostle? I highly recommend it. Billy Bob Thornton is a guy who has that kind of MAGA rage in him. And he wants to go after this. He wants to go after Robert Duvall, who's trying to build this church with the help of the black community there. And he is so caught up in his rage, Billy Bob is that he wants to tear this thing down. And Duvall meets him at his level. He doesn't insult him. He doesn't go after him and try to make him feel lesser than or emasculate him. He meets him at his level. And he challenges him to look at himself, to look at what he's doing, to where's the angle, where is this all coming from? And the man breaks down. And that's the horrible truth about a lot of people who are lost, is that they're lost inside and they find power in these narratives, in these points of views, in the behavior of these people that they follow. Because that power, they can borrow that power and feel like they're part of a group of people, and they can feel powerful when a majority of their life they felt powerless, which I think is very understandable. But it's what you do once you embrace that power, grab that power, that really means something. And I think some people use it to enrich themselves, as we see happening now. Some people use it to rape this country, as we see happening now. And some people use it to try to help this country. And so I wonder, when you look at this kind of stuff, how you navigate people who have the much more negative points of views, much more toxic points of views. You have to call it out. You have to educate people. Young men are getting manipulated and warped and messed up by other men in the sphere of social media, in the sphere of YouTube, poisoning their minds that they have to be hateful of women, hateful of black people, hateful of people of color, hateful of the LGBTQ plus community, instead of trying to connect with them. Yet they go to church every Sunday. Like, what are we doing? You know, that's the thing that you have to kind of look at. And I think there have to be stronger voices who are countering the stuff. The problem is that, you know, whenever stronger voices come up, immediately people want to destroy them, because these right-wing type of shows and right-wing hosts are invested in trying to destroy them. You see Adam Mockler being mocked all the time by people on the right. You see old men getting frazzled by this young kid who can go toe-to-toe with them, because it's a combo. He emasculates them, and he regresses them back to them being bullied in high school or them being made fun of. And so their toxic masculine traits kick in, and you have stupid shit like Scott Jennings going, "Get your finger out of my face," or the other old guy who said, "I could tell you everything there is about tariffs. You don't know shit about tariffs." When Adam's like, "Let me lay it all down for you," you know, and it's this kind of thing of like, they feel challenged by a younger person. Why? Because most of these people embrace these right-wing narratives to feel powerful. And that's a shame. You know, they don't understand what to do with that power, and they have to push these narratives and push these points of views in order to embrace that power and use that power. And that's always dangerous. That's highly dangerous in our lives. So let me see. Let me see here. Is this going to work? I don't know if I can do it that way. Let me see if, hold on. I may finally have a Spill the Tequila solo one that my graphic designer did for me that might work for me for the show when I'm solo. Yes. But there is that, do you guys notice there's that, okay, so good, but there's a layer, there's a dark layer over my face. There's a dark layer over the whole over the whole frame that makes it darker. Can you remove that? And can you put the, what do you want to say, the can you put the background color as a bar under the graphics? All right, there you go. So yeah, so all these kinds of things as well. All right, yeah. John, run for office. Guys, do you understand the amount of, I think my time passed. I think I would love to run for an office, but I don't have the years to work from local election to, state election to national election. I don't have, I think I have enough knowledge to run for a state office or a national office. 100%. I think I could learn how to go toe to toe with anybody if I have enough of the information and study enough of the other side. But I would need to have a machine behind me, a really strong machine, because I don't think there's a grassroots element to what I could do here. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows? The world is a very crazy place. I feel like I am called to serve, but I don't know how to get there. And I don't know how to put that together, to be honest with you. So in the meantime, I'll talk about movies, and I'll talk about sports, and I'll talk about life, and I'll talk about mental health, and I'll, try to entertain you guys as much as I can here in the world. Yeah. Build time machine, then run. Good point. Yes. Build time machine and then run. Yes. I would love to. I would love to. Let's see. Let's get some of your questions for any of you all here. Is anybody I missed? Francis, tell Smets that Sebastian is stealing his look. I know. I thought the same thing, Fred. I thought the same thing, that he looks just like Smets. He even talks like Smets. When Smets is talking about his osteoma thing, he absolutely kind of sounds like Smets, for God's sakes. So true. April Newell, what's up, April? Says, sending some encouragement. John, I love hearing your point of view. Even when I disagree, keep doing your thing. I love it. Thank you, April. Very kind of you. Thank you for sending in that super chat. If any of you guys want to send in super chats, please feel free, as we're getting close to wrapping up the show. I don't see any Streamlabs that have come through, any new ones that have come through. But yeah, please send in your support if you can. Ooh, hold on. We may have found a winner, ladies and gentlemen. We may have found a winner. Well, hold on. Let's see if this one works. Let's take April's comment down. Let's add. That's what I love about you guys. You let me act the fool a little bit and doing this stuff. Let me see if this works. Ooh, okay. We're going to make it a little bit thinner. We got to make it a little bit thinner. I think we're close. Don't you guys think we're close? I think we're close. Let me bring this back to him. I need it to be a little bit. Is it smaller? Be a little thinner and smaller. Here's a bar on top version. Okay, let's see if that bar on top version. That's interesting. Thank you guys for putting up with this. As me and my graphic designer are working through things to see if it works. So yeah, that needs to be thinner and shorter. Yeah. No, that's not going to work. That is not going to work. This is the way to go for sure, with the logo there in the corner. But the bar, yeah, here we go. Let me tell him, make the bar at the bottom purple from the purple section, light purple section, from the light purple section. And purple. Oh my God. Spell purple, bro. Purple section. And no top bar, just the logo. All right, let me see if that works. I love Seth doing this on the fly. I'm going to send him some money for this. Seth's been so great at doing this stuff for me. Oh, bingo! There we go. I think that's a good one, right? If we make the bar the light purple, I think this could work to make it pop a little bit more. What do you guys think? This is a good one, right? This is good. This is good. We're almost there. Yeah, I love the view guide. We're almost there. We're almost there. All right. Let me see if this one works. Thank you, brother. Let's see if this one's better. Keep both. Let me see here. Again, thank you guys for putting up with this. I appreciate you all madly. Let me see if this one is better. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, that's it. I like that one. That one's a lot better. I think that works. I think that absolutely works. What do you guys think? I think this works, right? This works for me. All right, so I'll take down the other ones. Is the logo big enough? I can't see it over the time thing that I have, so I don't know if the logo is big enough. But I feel like it is. So let me know. I think this works. Absolutely. So maybe we'll tweak something. There it is. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yep. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you all so much. All right. If there's what else do we want to talk? Do we want to talk about the Ronda Rousey thing? Just to make a little beeline. So Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano had their fight the other night, and Ronda took care of business. Took her out in 17 seconds. I know a lot of people said that it was staged. I don't think it was staged. First of all, neither of these two are that good of an actresses to stage it. Second of all, I think the what do you call it? The situation there with this is that Ronda basically used Gina to give her what she wanted, which is to leave MMA with a W, because she left with 2 losses with the Holly Holm and the Amanda Nunes situation. So she wanted to leave with a W. But I don't think this is a W that, elevates her back up into any kind of status. I don't think this is a W that changes how people feel about Ronda. This changed nothing. This kind of hurt Gina, to be honest with you. I think Gina losing all the weight was amazing. Her working out and trying to get into shape. I don't know. It feels to me like there was a little bit of Ozempic or Wegovy assistance here, in my opinion, judging from the face and some of the look of the skin. But overall, losing 100 pounds is no joke. I lost 40 and it was a hell of a journey. So losing 100, I can't even imagine. And I could have lost 100. I could have gone to 100 if I just kept on the program fully. As I'm still on the program. I'm just not as hardcore on the program as I was before. But if I had kept on the program, I could have easily gotten down to 180, 175, 160, maybe even, which, when I started out at 264, I could have gotten down to 164 for sure. I would have been an absolute emaciated shell of myself. I would have looked like a bowling ball because my head's so big. I would have looked like a bowling ball on top of a broomstick. I don't know if that would have worked for me overall. So that's what I'd say. I think 185 could have been a nice sweet spot. 195 could have been a nice sweet spot for sure. But I kind of like where I'm at for now. And maybe I'll lose a little bit more as it goes along. So, but yeah, I mean, this is kind of, so props to her for losing 100 pounds. But in the end, it's like, well, what does this do for you career-wise? I don't think it did much for her career-wise. So that's the sad truth of it all. So. All right. So there we go. All right. Anything else? Oh, here we go. Thank you, Wayne Edwards. Says, Wayne, good evening, John. The one night I can join Spill the Tequila live, Winston isn't here. It's all good. I always enjoy you doing your thing solo. By the way, you and Steve did an amazing job with Whiplash on the Cinevoss. Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate it. Yeah, we just recently finished the 2 parts of Whiplash. Our second part was 3 hours long. And for those who don't know, I host a show called The Cinephiles. It's a show where we break down one great movie over multiple parts, multiple episodes now. We just did Whiplash. We just started The Devil Wears Prada. We recorded about an hour and a half today. We'll record another hour tomorrow to finish off part 1. And that's what we're doing. We've done a lot of films over the years. It's a really good podcast. My brother Steve Morris is my co-host. He edits the podcast, weaves in scenes from the movies to overlap to play as we overlap it with dialogue of our back and forth about the scenes. And I highly recommend. We have our own YouTube channel. If you want to just go over after you're done with my show, head on over to the Cinephiles YouTube channel, and you can just click play on any of the movies there that you might like and just get a sample. Or you can go to wherever you download podcasts and click on the Cinephiles. We are not an on-camera podcast other than the live show we do once a month on the channel. But other than that, we post the shows, the audio of the shows with just the thumbnail of the movie that we're talking about. So I highly recommend you all giving it a shot. We were really proud about how Whiplash turned out. And it's going well so far with Devil Wears Prada as well, which is a interesting 1-2 punch considering both films are about possibly toxic people in charge of someone named Andy, right? Because it's Andy in Whiplash and it's Andy in Devil Wears Prada. And fashion and jazz, you could argue, have a lot of similarities in their approach, the niche of the interest in it, but the effect on the overall world of what they do. So yeah, very interesting 1-2 punch to go Devil Wears Prada with Whiplash. But we talked about a lot of Marvel movies, a lot of franchise films, a lot of small black and white films, a lot of classic films. We cover it all. Godfather, we've done it all. Apocalypse Now, it's all been covered by us. So if you haven't tried out the Cinephiles, I highly, highly recommend. We've been doing it for 10 years now. I'm damn proud of that show. Let's see here. LA Nerd Girls. Hey, John, love the solo show. Thank you. Looking forward to more in the future. Would love you to spout a bit on your thoughts on Spencer Pratt's mayoral bid. Well, what I can tell you is that I think it's an utter sham. And seeing a lot of right-wing celebrities like David Foster, like Catherine McPhee, I think one of the fucking Jersey Shore guys was donating. I think you're seeing these people who are right-wing celebrities. Even Rob Schneider said, we should put Spencer Pratt in there. Mental giant Rob Schneider. And so you see these kinds of things going on. And so it doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel grassroots. I think I'd be okay if this was someone whose house was burnt down, which is apparently part of his thing. Even from what I read, he didn't get fire insurance for the house, which doesn't make any sense to me if that's true. And I feel badly for anybody who lost it, regardless of political affiliation or points of views. I feel bad for anybody who lost their house in a fire, because you lose your personal belongings. The things that make you, to lose them in a fire is horrible. And so I understand why people are mad at Karen Bass, mad at what happened with the LA fire stuff. Totally legitimate. Do I think some of it reeks of political opportunism? Yes. But I also think there are people who legitimately pissed at Karen Bass for what happened, and I think that's fair. The Spencer Pratt situation, he's just a puppet. MAGA has shoved their hands so far up his ass and they're moving his mouth. That's basically what this is. And it's a shame, to be honest with you, because it makes a mockery of our election system in one of the biggest cities in our country, with one of the most important economies in our country. So to me, I think this is a utter shame. And this idea that he's going to bring Hollywood back or studios back is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I've seen people say he's got common sense solutions. Get the fuck out of here. No common sense solution from Spencer Pratt. This guy's shooting a reality show with his wife. Remember, his wife used to be relevant, Heidi Montag, aka Ceiling Eyes. She used to be relevant in this part. And so these are all grifters. And that's the thing. And we have to fight back against these grifters. We have to, by not putting them in office. If they see that they can't achieve money doing the things that they're doing, they'll stop doing it. And so we have to stop letting grifters get into office. We have to stop letting grifters do the things that they're doing to our country. We have to fight it. We have to stop it. And I hope LA wakes the fuck up and doesn't vote in this clown to be the mayor. Listen, I get it. Karen Bass did a lot of shitty stuff. Certainly you could argue the LA fire, but Spencer Pratt is not the fucking answer in any way, shape. Any person who's got a level-headed brain would not be picking Spencer Pratt to be mayor. He's a moron. He's an utter moron. And more videos have come out. He denies climate change. I think what did they say about him? He was I think he said something about the Uvalde situation as well. What did he say about this stuff? Whatever. Spencer Pratt beat the shit out of his sister and sent her to the hospital when he was 21 and she was 18. Jesus. And the fact that he was living where he was actually living. He claimed he was living in a trailer, or it seemed to intimate he was living in a trailer when he wasn't. He was living in a very expensive hotel, which was, I think, $1,500 a night. So you saw that hotel. And Spencer pushed back and said, I'm at a hotel because the psychopaths are messaging me every day. They're going to kill me because Nethia Roman is calling me a fascist. Oh, God. Death threats again. That'll come back. But yeah, there's a lot here with him that is really questionable. And I think people, hopefully in LA, they wake the hell up and look at this situation. And he said he's planning on leaving LA if he doesn't get voted in to be mayor. Don't spoil. Don't threaten me with a good time, for God's sake. So there's a lot of videos out there. He did a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air type of video, which I thought was ridiculous. And there's a lot. There's just a lot, with all of this stuff. Plus that presentation from David Foster, that looked really uncomfortable. And Catherine McPhee, this is what you ended up as. It's nonsense on so many levels. So. Yeah, it's just a shame to see this kind of stuff, that we have to humor these kind of intellectual midgets about this stuff. So that's what I'll say to you. It's just, it denies climate change. And this whole thing. Yeah. Get politics out of money out of politics. That's for sure. Get money out of politics. Get politics out of money. Yes. So there you go. So yeah, there's a lot with all of this stuff. So it's just a shame to see it all happening. And I hope LA is smart and doesn't vote this guy in, because it could be real dangerous for a lot of us, or for a lot of them in LA overall. All right, well, let's wrap it up there, y'all. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. We went 2 hours without my brother Winston A. Marshall. He's an amazing man, but he couldn't join us because of internet issues. I hope that stuff gets worked out for him because he's got to shoot content for his channel. It's important for him to get his content up on his channel. Thank you all for hanging out. Thanks for sending me the Streamlabs. Thanks for the super chats. You guys are very, very kind to send in and support everything we do here on the channel. And as I said, as I'm wrapping up here, look for the first episode of the Rocha Show. That is coming. The Rocha Show will be a frequent show on this channel. The channel will be changing over the next 2 months. You're going to see that show more and more, and you're going to see just, 1 episodes of these other shows. But the Rocha Show will be the predominant show that will be happening here on the channel. Sometimes it'll be pre-taped. Sometimes it'll be 10 minutes. Sometimes it'll be 2 hours or an hour and a half, whatever. It's all kinds of things it can be. Sometimes it'll be live. Sometimes it's all those things here. And I'm doing that here on the channel to kind of just do more and more stuff here on the channel, be more of a resident on the channel, and get more and more subscribers because I want to get to 50,000, 100,000 subscribers so I can have a little cachet in the YouTube community to get more people to come on to be interviewed by me on my channel. Because I think a lot of people would come on the channel if they see that it's got a strong subscriber base, and they'll be reaching a lot of people with their projects or their points of views or their or whatever it is they're working on there. So or what they want to say, or the books they're selling, those kinds of things, So I want to expand the reach of the channel and bring in more conversations from people about all kinds of things going on in the world. So we will see in the end what it leads to. But yeah, that's coming here. I'm working with my graphic designer. We're going to come up with a video. We're going to come up with overlays and all of this. And that's going to be the approach here we take. So look for that coming very, very soon. Overall, though, please follow me at The Rocha Says on all social media. Please remember to subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, maybe you're trying me out for the first time, would appreciate it. Hit a like on this video, share it on all your social media, and leave your comments down below about what you think about all of this stuff. And what do you want to see covered on The Rocha Show? What are the things you want to see consistently? What are segments you want to suggest for The Rocha Show? Listen, I'm open for everything. So please suggest all that kind of stuff. And YouTube memberships are coming. So is there anything you want to see as a benefit from the YouTube membership? What tier would you be willing to subscribe at? And what benefits would you want to see at that tier? Let me know as I'm putting this thing together. I want to launch it by June 1st in a couple of weeks, the YouTube memberships here on the channel. So I'm working hard to put all that together. So thank you very much, everybody. You guys are amazing. I love you madly. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Remember what I say at the end of every show. Although I don't say it at the end of Spill the Tequila, I do say it at the end of my solo show. So I'm going to say it now. Whatever you need to do to get through the next second, next minute, next hour, next day, next week, next month, next year, fuck it, next decade. Let's add an extra 10 years to that. I want you to do that. I want you to do that. Listen, the world is tough out there. It's overwhelming. It's hard. I get it. So it's up to you to take care of yourself. It's up to you to love yourself. It's up to you to put things in place, put tools in place, read those books, go to therapy, figure out the things that are going to help you get through the next day. Because I tell you this is the true thing. This is a new statement I've been adding to this ending. You are undefeated facing the hard times. If you're still with me, listening to this right now, if you're watching me right now, you are undefeated getting through the hard times because you've gotten through them and you're still here. So you are undefeated and you can stay undefeated. Let that motivate you. Hey, I got through it last time. I can get through it again. What do I got to do? Love yourself enough to get through those moments, man. They're important because I want you around. I need you around. You can change the world. You never know. Where I was 10 years ago to where I'm at now, I'm a completely different person in a different existence, a much, much happier existence. You just never know what can happen. So it doesn't feel like it. I know it doesn't feel like it sometimes, but you can get there. So just want to let you know that. So thank you all so much. I love you madly. Take care of yourselves. Be well. And I'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode with my brother this time of Spill the Tequila. Peace. Until then.